The most important for us is not to make a difference between DeFi and TradFi. We actually believe that it's all fi. Banque de France, our regulator, together with Euroclear, will actually tokenize 100% of an asset class. It's actually one of the biggest short-term debt markets with more than 300 billion. When you have the combination of reg, tech, a value for clients, and the right infrastructure, you actually get to a sense of scale. The most important for us is not to make a difference between DeFi and TradFi. We actually believe that it's all fi. We're dealing with finance. It's true that now the assets and the cash are designed in a different way. They flow on different rails. They require different core capabilities. But we need to serve our clients regardless of their needs. They want to have access to digital assets or traditional assets. We are the infrastructure where they can actually go and get service for all their financial needs. The project Pythagore is an amazing project because it basically combines public and private, and we can see how Banque de France, our regulator, together with Euroclear, will actually tokenize 100% of an asset class, which is the new CP. It's actually one of the biggest short-term debt markets with more than 300 billion euros. And it has been very welcomed by the market, and we have more than half of the outstanding amounts that have been subscribed, and it's going live in Q4 this year. So basically you see that when you have the combination of reg, tech, client, a value for clients, and the right infrastructure, you actually get to a sense of scale. And that's what we're trying to achieve. Today at Euroclear, you can have access to all different kinds of cash, central bank money, commercial bank money. We tokenize deposits. That was the cash leg for the first platform we ever built. And obviously, the project Pythagore, we settle against the Pontes CBDC. And the most important for us is basically to have the two legs of a transaction, the security leg and the cash leg. And we deal with regulated means of payments. And today in Europe, it's CBDC. It might evolve. We see clearly that in the US, they're taking another direction for stablecoins. And I believe both have the great merits. It just applies to different kind of use cases. I think the conversation has moved from tech to business, and that's clearly a big unlock. And what we're trying to do is actually get to the right level of coordination and synchronization. As I mentioned, when you have regulatory clarity, technological maturity, and client demand and value, this is where you get adoption. And for us, what we need to have is basically adoption at scale and not anymore project or pilots that are siloed or creating fragmentation. We want to be a one-stop shop for the clients, for all their needs, and that's what we're aiming for. Euroclear is a financial market infrastructure that has actually scale. And I will give you some numbers just to put things in perspective. We have $45 trillion of assets under custody, and we process every month the equivalent of the world GDP. And I think it's important, and we do that because we basically connect issuers, investors, assets and cash, and all the ecosystem providing value-added services around funds, around collateral, securities lending and borrowing, custody services. We sit at the intersection of scale, trust, and regulation. And getting all that to move on-chain is obviously a challenge because we have to do it with the ecosystem. But we are not DLT maximalist in the sense that everything has to be DLT. We are building what makes sense, what brings value, at the time it makes sense as well. Being too much ahead of time and being alone with a great solution nobody uses, well, it has limited value, obviously. I think it's very complementary. Look at what we're doing today and the size of the operation. It's enabled by tech. Traditional tech, modern tech, not everything is blockchain, and we still process €2 quadrillion every month today, and that's working pretty well at scale, fully automated. So I would say that if you look at our history for more than 60 years ago, we have always been able to cope with the new innovation that are coming. And what's happening today with DLT, AI, and the rest is going to be part of the journey we're embracing. So we're a tech-enabled company, and we will always be a tech-enabled company, regardless of the tech, as long as it makes sense. We have to look at DLT adoption, taking the example of the cloud adoption. At the beginning, everything was on-prem. Then you move to private cloud, and now you're moving to public cloud. And while DLT was creating to disrupt the trust, we clearly see today that the institutions are asking the trust to come back to institutions like Euroclear, because we provide this trust that will allow them to do more things on-chain. And so I believe that regardless of the direction of travel, there's one thing that will never go away, is the trust, whether it's via institution or via its code. But definitely there's going to be a long transition period, and the trusted partner today is Euroclear. Our strategy when we build the new financial market infrastructure for tomorrow is to be chain agnostic. Why do we have to make strong choices on techs and compromise? Do we want privacy? Do we want scale? Do we want interoperability? When all these elements are important for us. And because the landscape is evolving so fast, the way we are building our new infrastructure is to abstract this complexity. So we have a multi-asset, a multi-jurisdiction, and a multi-chain strategy when it comes to our platforms. So we don't have to pick winners, because we believe not one chain will rule them all, but there will be a multiplicity of chains, most probably specialized in some use cases that would make sense, and we'll be able to deliver our services on these chains. The first platform we built a few years ago was specifically designed to solve the liquidity problem. If you think about the first issuances that happened on-chain, you had bonds sitting there idle, waiting for redemption, and nothing happened. What Euroclear did is basically listen to the client, to the demand, and we built a full primary market distribution on-chain. And with a great legal construct, we're able to have a digital twin to move it to the traditional system. And so our bonds were the most liquid and the most well-distributed, and that solved a huge issue for the issuers. Well, the future is always bright, and I would say we have gone through 3 different stages when it comes to technology adoption. The first one was very philosophical about blockchain. The second one was very technological. And I think we're finally entering the most interesting phase of the evolution, which is infrastructural. And talking about infrastructures is key for us, but it might get less traction on Twitter.